So for this season on the constructed side of things, I wanted to give myself a bit of a challenge. So I decided to do what I was calling the budget challenge, which is I created a deck that was incredibly easy to craft in terms of cost. And I set myself the limit of I had to be able to craft it with less than 5,000 soul gems. And then I wanted to take that deck all the way from rank 12 up to legend just to prove that it could be done. I wanted it to kind of serve as a resource for new players who are getting into the game who might think that the game is not free to play or that you need a bunch of flashy legends in order to be competitive, which isn't necessarily the case. So this deck is the deck that I used for that. Technically, the deck is 5,800 soul gems to craft all the way from start to finish, assuming you had exactly 0 of the cards. I give myself a little bit of a pass, though, because over 2,000 soul gems worth of this deck comes from completing the story mode, so the tutorial. If you complete the tutorial, you unlock those starter decks. Over a third of this deck is already done for you. So this is very cheap to craft, very easy to make. You're going to notice the deck has no legends and only 6 epics. The rest are just the rare and common slots. And it is obviously very close to Spellsword tokens. So if you're familiar with some of the top tier meta decks right now, this is like the budget version of that. But because we don't have access to some of the legends or some of the more important cards, we kind of had to get creative with our strategy. So immediately what stands out on this list is we're using cards like Imprison, and we're using cards that might be suboptimal, but kind of work more so because of the way we built our deck, knowing that budget was in mind, right? So Imprison isn't traditionally used in the current meta Spellsword deck, but because we're going budget and because we're very heavy willpower, it actually kind of works out pretty well. Resolute Ally is like a 80% chance of proccing for us, so 1 in 5 times it'll fail. It's pretty dependable, again, because we're so heavy willpower with this budget list. There's a lot of things that just kind of work out. So the point of the deck, if you're unfamiliar with Spellsword tokens, is to play cards that give you more than 1 minion at the same time. So in this instance, we're looking at like Scouting Patrol, Wolf Pack, Midnight Sweep, Golden Saint, and then because we get more than 1 minion, we're looking for anything that buffs a lane or buffs minions when they come into play or buffs our entire board. So we get a lot of value out of cards like Bruma Armorer or the 5th Legion Trainer because they're going to buff everything when they come into play, and that includes our multiple copies of minions. We're also going to get value out of Resolute Ally because it's going to buff everything in the lane, and we should have pretty full lanes because, again, we're creating things, you know, multiple times at a time. And then Divine Fervor, obviously. It's a card that some people might think is too strong. Some people love it, some people hate it, but if you're familiar with Spellsword tokens, then you're familiar with Divine Fervor. It's +1/+1 to every creature on the board, and obviously that impacts this deck significantly better than other decks because you're giving it to more than one thing, right? +1/+1 on one creature is not nearly as significant as +1/+1 on 6, 7, 8 creatures. That's how you get the value out of it. So it follows the traditional Spellsword themes, but does so significantly cheaper. Tips for playing the deck. When I'm mulliganing, I'm looking to play things on curve, so I want 1 drops, 2 drops, 3 drops. The one exception would be Divine Fervor. If I have the option, I will keep 1 Divine Fervor in hand because it's really impactful if you can play it early. Keeping multiples is risky because you really need threats and you need them early to keep pressure on the opponent. I tend to play this like an aggressive deck. I kind of don't care if I crack runes or trigger prophecies. Most of the really good board clears aren't prophecies, and so fearing a board clear early from prophecy isn't as big of a deal. And if they get like, you know, a javelin or something that's 1Z, 2Z, it tends to not impact us as much because, again, we're kind of basing our stuff on volume instead of quality, right? We're not going to lose 1 key minion. I mean, it happens, but we're less likely to lose 1 key minion that would really cripple us, and instead we care more about board clears. So that speaks to part 2 for tips of playing the deck. Know the board clears that exist in this game and then try to play around them. If you're playing against an opponent that has intelligence, for example, and you're about to hit where they're going to have 6 Magicka, and they could play Ice Storm. Maybe don't empty your hand, right? Give yourself something so that if they do clear the board, then you can come back and then keep that pressure on them. Don't go all in unless you're relatively certain they don't have an Ice Storm, or you're just trying to push for a lethal. But for the most part, like, try to play around the board clears. Similarly, if you're playing against any willpower control deck and they're getting close to Dawn's Wrath range, don't load up one lane, etc., etc. Against strength decks, I've seen Burn and Pillage popping up more and more, so be aware of how many runes of yours they've cracked and how much damage it would do to your team, and plan accordingly. Also, back to the mulligans, always send back your prophecies. Javelin and Midnight Sweep are pretty much it for us, so we have a low volume of prophecies. It's imperative that we give ourselves the chance to get them on trigger as opposed to keeping them in hand. Not only because they're expensive and so we can't play them early and it's not really helping our curve, but also just because that's how you get the value out of prophecy cards, right? So we're already low on the chances to trigger them, so let's maximize that chance of getting them by just shipping them right back into the deck, not keeping them in the opening hand. Yeah, I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory, I think, but I just want to say it just to be safe. So anyway, that's enough about the deck. I hope you enjoy it. Following me talking, hooray, you can stop listening to me now, is going to be some clips of me playing the deck, including the game where we finally won to go into Legend, just as kind of proof of concept again. So if you're new, I hope that you can take a look at this and think or know, right, that you can take a very cheap deck, one that you can craft in 1 to 2 days tops, and not only be competitive, but actually push yourself into the Legend ranks and beyond. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. No Imprison, 2-drop, never get rid of Divine Fervor. Ugh! Shuffle you back. Shuffle you back. The worst part is this is our worst matchup. Agility Endurance is far and away our worst matchup. So even though, like, he's rank 5, I foresee us getting raffle stomped here. We would have needed to be extra fast out of the gate. Drawing the Midnight Sweep instead of getting it off a proc doesn't fill me with a lot of hope. Every time I see this constellation here for rank 3, I can't help but think it looks like a penis.
We must break through their ranks.
Alright. We need at least another 2-drop, if not a 3-drop next turn to stay on curve and keep the pressure going.
You'll pay for this.
Ever lucky. I'm gonna make you attack into me, buddy. Because he buffs my squad that doesn't exist. Yeah, we definitely needed to come out of the gates faster than this. The only saving grace potentially now is that we've got 2 reinforcements in the Divine Fervor, so if he doesn't have, like, super huge pumps and we can file through them, we might be able to make it work. The Imprison will help, potentially.
Your orders.
I do love a good fight.
I'm really tempted to just play the other reinforcement and then Divine Fervor next turn, because he can only really take out 1, though if he has a -1/-1, then it's more, it's a gamble.
I hear and obey.
Alright.
Into the breach.
We're going to take the gamble here. This probably is going to cost us the game, but
Your orders.
I was just thinking that, in theory, we have Divine Fervor plus,
Come dance with death.
plus Imprison next turn. Right? So we've got Divine
Chimera
Fervor.
guide us. Acknowledged. Into the breach. I hear and obey. Into the breach. I hear and obey. Into the breach.
Alright, so now
I
we
hear
just
and
hope
obey.
for no answers, right? Like, that was the best possible outcome. No prophecies. He's still a turn away from, like, a Chorus if he had one, which doesn't clear the board now because of our Fervor anyway. So we had a slow start, but because he couldn't kill the squad, we're in a really good spot in terms of the board, and then we've got like a fair amount of ability to explode onto the board next turn. The drain could be a problem. Right? So he's going to gain 8 health here.
Come dance with death. Come dance with death.
Gain 8 health and randomly shackle a dude. So I can't allow him to keep gaining health. So trying to think through the way that we want to do this.
Into the
I
breach.
think it's just
I hear and obey. Into the breach.
like that, and then I think it's
Training
this
is over.
and this.
It's time to act.
Save the rest. Because again, this is still a fair amount of board flood, even if he does magically wipe us, but
You are the victor.
By the aid
I
of
think we've
fire battle.
got too much for him. So alright, that's normally our worst matchup. I think we literally just got lucky because he, I think, had a bad opening hand. He wasn't playing a whole lot early there, so... No. The lag was kind of freaking me out there for a second. I was like, did I not select those? You know what? We're gonna wait. Normally I just go balls to the wall, 1-3 in it, but...
Training is over. It's time to act.
And the off chance that we have to protect something here. So now it's feeling like a little bit of a mistake. We could have went 1, 2, 3, 4.
I stand to serve.
What is it this time? Execute, Aerostorm, Firebolt. Firebolt works just as well.
Who goes there? I live to serve.
He's definitely playing control. That's bad times for us. Holy midnight sweeps, Batman.
Kill them all.
Tell me your injuries.
Kill them all.
Yeah, I think we just do it.
I live to serve.
I think we just do it. We're gonna have to force our way through that Hive Defender either way. Honestly, the primary reason that I start on the conceal lane is because
Your destruction is at hand.
I'm so used to playing against Archer and or Battle Mage, both of which have variations that run charge. I'm so used to it at this point that I kind of do it out of habit. Like that's honestly the only truth there. I think before we do the Golden
Kill
Saint,
them
let's
all.
crack some runes.
Kill them all.
Tell me where it hurts.
Yeah, I think we still Saint here. And then pass. But yeah, it's just habit, because so like when I'm playing against people that run charge, I don't want them to play something and then snipe me, so I'm just used to playing them in the cover lane. I also tend to find that when I'm playing against the decks that may run Pilfer or other things, they also like to go into the cover lane. And by starting here, then I've established a presence so that like I'm ready to respond, if that makes sense.
Let's dance.
Shall we begin?
What do we got? We got only 2 there. Oh well.
Kill them all.
Let's crack some runes first before we do anything crazy.
Tell me where it hurts.
Kill them all.
We don't have Divine Fervor. I'm trying to weigh the benefits of reinforcements right now. Because if he has Ice Storm, playing reinforcements now would suck. I kind of want to use it to recover. But we also... yeah, we're going to save it. I could go either way on that. If we'd have played it and he doesn't have Ice Storm, or he doesn't have like a Firestorm or some other board sweep, then it basically would have won us the game right there. We're probably going to have to do it next turn, though, just so that we can get up to the appropriate count to blow through this. Oh, or not. We'll wait and save it. We'll just Javelin it instead.
Kill them all.
Tell me where it
So
hurts.
1, 2, 3. Take the biggest chunk.
Kill them all.
And then pass again. Because if he's got a board sweep, this gives us a quality way to recover. Not really worried about them because I don't think he wants to give me runes right now. Uh-oh. Did he dig for that Ice Storm? Even Ice Storm's risky because of this now. I only have to make up 1 damage.
The day is yours.
Good game.
By the aim, a fine battle.
Good game. Hey look guys, it's Archer. I know how much you wanted to see some Archer gameplay. Alright, so if he doesn't have a way to blow up one of my 1/1s, and that's a big if, we actually might get the fabled turn 2 Pit Lion off. But I got a feeling that that's not going to be the case. It's so hard to do that. That's why I only run the 1 Pit Lion.
Soldiers report.
Your orders.
I think I only have the 1, but I said yesterday, and I still stand by it, that if I owned more than 1, I would still just run the 1.
Acknowledged.
because it's so hit or miss on whether or not you get to actually do that. I hate these guys.
If I fall, the Hist will reclaim me.
Alright. Now, I'm gonna say this now. Historically, right? Historically, Resolute Ally has like only a 1 in 5 chance of failing in my deck. However, over the past week, almost every time that I have a 1-2 lethal, and I need this thing to proc in order for this guy to trade in and protect something, it has failed. So, I say that. Well, hold on. I guess we also should try to maximize our value here, right? So, we want the Resolute Ally to trigger on something if possible.
Tell me your injuries.
Sure. I mean, we're gonna do it. This is one of those, like, this should not fuck me.
Steadfast, brothers.
Oh my god. I have seriously spent like a week, and every time it has failed, it has failed right there. I mean, I've lost a lot of games because of that.
By Stendar's mercy.
I also swear to God that guy never, ever fails. Forever procs. I think we just go balls deep, right? Like, I know we're going to lose this next turn, so we get as much value as we can out of it. So then the real question becomes, I think I really want to Armorer and Shield Mage and then do this here next turn, but because we don't have Divine Fervor, this is just going to die to this anyway. We could just do Armorer, save this, and then do that next turn to get a bunch of 1/3s. Yeah, I think that's the play.
I stand to serve.
We know the 6/8 is biting it, but
Let's heat things up.
the suspense, right. That was actually a really good turn for him. That was a really good turn for him. I really wish we could profiteer and do this, but I feel like that's a requirement there too.
You can't defeat us.
Anyway, we know we're doing this.
Tell me where it hurts.
And we know we're doing this. I think it has to be Trainer in this. As much as I want the Profiteer to gain the health, I think we need the aggro. It just sucks that we lost the Armorer too.
Training is over. It's time
Because
to act.
if he's got another Pyromancer, we're fucked.
Your orders.
Or the Prophecy guy that does 1 to everything in a lane, we're fucked. No Divine Fervor and the Armorer dying makes that an ultra risky play. Fireball would fuck us real hard right now. Well, he clearly doesn't have Fireball, or else he wouldn't have done that.
My sword hand itches. My sword hand itches.
Oh, wow. That was a nice play. That was actually a really nice play. Well, either way, we know we're doing this. Right? No, not right. Hold on. I really wish we had enough to play this and this together. So our option is either this to threaten lethal with a massive dude, or we could play this and 2 dudes. I think it's still this. Play for the win, right? Because the other one just buys us time. The other one just says we don't take a... maybe don't take a ton of damage.
You can't defeat me!
Acknowledged. I hear and obey. Acknowledged.
Because the problem is if we would have done the other play, which was the safer play, we would have had to, like, lost 3 of those dudes anyway. At least with this, we say he has to respond, and we know he's played 3 of his guard guys already. So having guards not super likely. What he would need is anything to poke this and then finish off. Like, that would save him.
Victory is yours.
Hey, he must not have it. We'll take it. Play for the win, right? Play for the win. Yeah, finish off was the big concern for me there, but... I'd like to bang this out and then, you know, go in some arena runs. Oh! Alright, it's not crazy like legend guy. I don't think I need to keep 2. Yeah, that's better. Much better start. This could be a really rough matchup for us though, so...
Soldiers, report.
Your orders.
Oh, I didn't even notice that, Schwitty. It is another bonus round. Of course it's another bonus round. I went like 25 games without getting one, and then I'm going to go and get 2 in a row. Why wouldn't it be another bonus round? Yeah, we're not going to let you keep the ward there, as much as I wished that I had a way to pump that. Plate? That's what I'm calling. Imperial plate over there? Oh.
Let's shed some light on the
Digging for that firebolt. Yeah, I'd way rather have had a bonus round, like, after we lose this. So that, well, this is just a question of how greedy do I want to be. Because I really like, before reinforcements gets played, I would really like to have a trainer on the board, but I feel like just playing the reinforcements is better. Because then, as long as they don't get nuked, I'll have Imprison and East March available on my next turn. Kind of sucks that I don't... I guess I could have played this pre-attacking and then nuked this. Would have sucked to waste an Imprison on it, but it would have been kind of nice because that thing does have ward, and he's going to get probably like a 3-for-1 on that. Yeah, I made my bet, so I think I have to line it. That was probably a play mistake. That's me not realizing... Like, it sucks to use an Imprison on, like, just a 3-3, but given that that's a 3-3 with ward, he's going to chew through my squad since I don't have a Divine Fervor available.
I have you now.
Into the breach.
We'll hold, no matter what.
Acknowledged. I hear and obey.
I think we just hold on to it now that the word is gone. Could really use a Divine Fervor to keep the pressure up at this point.
I have you now.
Well, that's going to be kind of annoying as shit now, isn't it?
Acknowledged. Into the breach. I hear and obey.
Can't remember the last time I was this tempted to just use Imprison on a goddamn 3-3 like this. But I think that's the play, because then it requires him to play something before he can give it ward.
I stand to serve.
Training is over. It's time to act.
Really, really could use a Divine Fervor, though, because we could put him on his heels, I think. Well, that's probably game, actually.
There's a plan. There's always
You
a plan.
can't defeat me.
I live to serve.
We really needed that early pressure. Boo! Ice Storm! That word's gonna get real annoying real quick.
Kill them all.
And of course he gets a prophecy. Why wouldn't he? It's gonna be Firestorm here. Yeah, that sucked too. Alright, so... Pack-Wolf, Pit Lion, and Pass, I think. I think Pack-Wolf, Pit Lion, Pass is the right move. He's got a lot of mana to respond. That's the biggest problem. If he didn't have so much mana and all these cards, I'd feel kind of confident, because like Divine Fervor top deck would be enough to push lethal. We're just so far behind. No Fervor, no Resolute Allies, now that I'm thinking about it. Just none of the Squide-Wad
Careful there, friend.
buffs that I would typically want. Yeah, he's going to try to take his control of the board now, and rightfully so. It might help. Might help to slow things up a bit. So this has got to go here, this has got to go here. I mean, we've got to try to go face. He still has an awful lot of cards to work with. That was a mistake last round. I made a second play mistake. This should have attacked here just to get rid of the ward. Just so that because he's going to get this for free instead of taking the 5 into it, and then I could have came in with this and finally got rid of it. So that was a play mistake as well. That's 2 I've made this game. I'm too busy, I got tunnel vision trying to pay attention to how I can try to force lethal. And not paying attention to not giving up complete and utter control of a lane like I just did. Because he's just going to dominate this lane now. So I have to just pray that he's got shit for cards. Because if he's got shit for cards, we can still win this game.
There's more to come.
No guard, no bolt.
Destruction is at hand.
No guard, no bolt. YOLO! Hooray, boys! We did it! Woo! We made it to the show! Less than 5,000 total soul gems. And we pushed it.
Ranked among the legends for the rest of this season.
Woo, and we're not even like bottom of the barrel legend. Go budget challenge.